Welcome, 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 everybody. I know I've been a little absent for a little while because I didn't do a crochet live on Friday and, didn't get a live on Saturday, but, the girl was a little busy. Retreating. I was retreating. Not retreating from anything, just retreating, relaxing, having a good time. Anyhow, so this WIP and chat is going to be a little chit chat about the days leading up to the retreat, because some interesting things happened there, and heading out to the retreat, some highlights of the retreat, and then at the end I have stuff to show you. As far as swag bags, door prizes, and all of that good stuff I have to show you at the end. So I thought I would chit chat first, and then we would bust into all of the goodies, because there were goodies. Yes, there were. All right. So before I even start talking retreat, let me talk real quickly about Down on the Farm. Down on the Farm is an event here for May, and as you can tell, I am working on a painting here for Down on the Farm. It wasn't what I thought I would do, but this kind of came up in some conversations with a few people. It's definitely farmish because it's sunflowers. I mean, I grow sunflowers, or I try to grow sunflowers. And it was also just a good opportunity to finish up a painting I had started. Now, mind you, when I had started it, let's see, how much of this can you see? Well, you can't really see. When I had started, I just had a very small corner done over here. Very small corner. I have done like all of this in just the last couple days. It's going very, very fast. It's rounds. I'm loving it. It's beautiful. It's from Dreamer Designs. And like I said, it was a perfect opportunity to do a smaller painting that fits the theme. It's a work in progress. It's a WIP that I can get finished and get out of the bedroom. So that's what I'm doing. As far as like an official announcement for Down on the Farm, I was so busy, the last several weeks of April, finishing up things for the retreat, etc., etc. I didn't have time to just do a designated video for Down on the Farm. But I do have a co-sponsor, Ms. Brenda, also known as Mama B. She is sponsoring. She's not sponsoring. She is co-hosting. I'm sorry. She's co-hosting this event with me. Now, Brenda has recently started a channel and has a few videos under her belt. I will link her channel below so you can go check her channel out, watch some of her videos. She's got a couple. I'm not certain how many she has. They're basically WIP and chats. Go check her out. So she is hosting, and she has been talking about it in her social medias and other places. So we're going to host this event together. It's anything farm related. So it can be farm animals, farm houses, tractors, flowers, birds, all the things that you might see on a farm. So just make sure that if you came to my house, you could probably see whatever's in your picture. Not necessarily, because I do have cows next door. Somebody is doing a little pig. I don't have any pigs, but you know what I mean. So that is our event. We will be giving away a grand prize at the end, And Brenda and her daughter Brittany, who are Bees Gems Crafted on Etsy, are going to be giving out some weekly prizes of bracelets and cover binders. So we'll have some weekly giveaways and we will have a grand prize giveaway. Fun, 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 right? I think it sounds awesome. So please check her out. Check out their shop, all of those kinds of things. And if you have a painting that would work for something farmish, join along. We will post on my Facebook page, my Facebook group, which is Diamond Moments and Crafts. There is a week 1 post out there, and some people have already posted pictures. There's no real size requirement, but make it something you have a decent amount to work on, because the event does run for a month. So just kind of make sure you got enough to kind of keep you busy for a while, okay? Keep you busy. So we're looking forward to that. We're almost at the end of week 1 already at this point. It's getting close anyhow. Today's the 5th. So post your picture and join along. We'll pick our winners from the Facebook group, but her and I will both be talking about it in our WIP and chats and our videos and my lives and all of those things. All right. So that is the May event. Fun, fun. One of my favorite things is my Down on the Farm. My Down on the Farm videos. Been able to start, amping those up a little bit as more and more things are happening around here as far as plants and animals and things like that. So have a good time with it. I always say I try to make things just fun, easy, low pressure. Just have a good time. Let's just have a good time. And let's diamond paint, beautiful things together. Well, not together, but, together. Together, but not together. All right. That's enough of that. All right. Let's talk retreat. As I said, I was very busy the last few weeks of it. Well, all of April, really. Lots of things happening in April as far as final, preparations, getting everything squared away, making sure it's all ready to go. So lots of things happening. So that's why I did not get a designated video out, an announcement video for Down on the Farm. So the time comes so quickly. It feels like it's a weird time shift. It's just a strange thing. Work on this retreat for almost a year. Sometimes it is a year, not as much work at the forefront as when it gets going and we get people registering and things like that. But you work on a retreat for about a year. And sometimes it seems like it almost, you kind of put it in the back of your head, back of your pocket, and you don't really think about it a whole lot. Some months I do nothing with the retreat stuff, Other months are very work heavy, planning, finding venue, sponsors, all of that stuff. And that part tends to seem very slow, kind of laid back. I work on it once in a while. And then the closer you get, the more work there is, the more things I'm trying to crunch in. And then the time seems to fly. Probably because there's so many things to do, time just seems to fly. And then before you know it, you're loading up your car and you're heading out. And you're there. And you're setting everything up. And in the blink of an eye, literally it feels like the blink of an eye, the weekend is over. You spend a whole year working on something that seems to just fly by so quickly. It's a weird time thing. It's just very strange. Anyhow, that's how it felt. We went to a place called the Ram Center, which is in Michigan, and it's up in the woods. It's at a center called the Ram Center, Ralph McMillan Center. It's run by our DNR. A lot of DNR stuff happens there. A lot of like nature-y type stuff, nature trainings and conferences and stuff like that happens there. Like when we pulled in. So Angie comes in later. Hang on. Karen and I got there about noon, and we pull in, and this parking lot is filled with trucks, with trailers and boats of all different descriptions, all these boats and things. And I was like, okay. And then I started reading the trucks, and the trucks were sheriff's departments from this city and this city and this county. And I'm like, oh, we are here with a whole bunch of sheriffs. All right. Okay. That sounds fun. Come to find out, they were there. They were dive teams, like rescue divers. And of course, they had the lake there to go practice, their diving and rescuing. Very interesting. I think they were only there Thursday. They all appeared to have been gone like Friday. There might have been one or two trucks and boats in the parking lot, but they quickly dissipated and the sheriffs were gone. Anyhow, so we get there and, have to check in and get all of our information and then haul all of our stuff in. As we were hauling our stuff in, Angie and her friend Sarah showed up because she was coming to help, which I appreciate so much, because I don't believe Karen and I could have gotten everything done as well as it was done before it was time for people to come in. Check-in was at 3, but craft room was at 4 because we knew we needed time to set everything up. And boy, did we need to set things up. We needed to set up tables. We needed to run electrical cords and power strips and set up all of the prizes, the door prizes, the swag bags, everything that needed to be done. Plus decorating, a little bit of decorating. Wasn't a ton of decorating, but it was awfully cute decorating. I will say that. Got it all done anyhow, but thank you to Angie and Sarah for being there early to help. It was greatly appreciated. And we just worked very well together and knocked it out of the park. If you watched the crafting vlog, it shows how things were set up. It shows the swag bag table, the door prize table. You get a good sense of just how cool everything was, because I not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think it was amazing. I like how everything came together, and it was just awesome. So let me backtrack a little. I was talking about how quickly this all comes and goes, and how much I have to do in the last few weeks and days before the retreat. I'm being proactive. I'm getting my car loaded early. I'm getting all my stuff organized, getting my stuff packed so that I'm not stressing out, worrying about what I forgot, what I didn't do, all of that stuff. I'm also trying to put together a couple of videos for while I'm gone. Well, that was fun. They just popped and went everywhere. That was great. A few videos for while I was up at the retreat. I'm in the office. My car is pretty much loaded. I did have Karen come by at one point. We were making something for the swag bags, and she actually took all the swag bags with her. Angie came down one day, and she took 4 boxes of stuff with her because I knew there was so much stuff. There was absolutely no way I was going to get it all in my car. So I'm loading the rest of it in my car, getting pretty organized, trying to put together a couple videos when Dale comes in. And he's like, I need you right now. And I was like, okay, what? He goes, you got to take me to the hospital. And of course I was like, wait, what? Why? I mean, what's going on? He went over to the kitchen, to the sink, put his hand into the sink and uncovered it. He had shop towels on his hand. He took the shop towels off, and that was all I needed at that point. When he took the towels off his hand, to be like, yep, okay, let me get some shoes, let me get my purse, find the keys, let's go. He had cut himself. He had been out in the garage cutting a motor apart to take the metals apart because he was doing some scrapping. And his Sawzall slipped and got him in the hand. So it got him in his hand, like right over here. Like I kept as I was gone all weekend long, I kept thinking it was down in here more, but it wasn't. It was more up here, kind of on this edge of your thumb. It didn't get down to his wrist. It never really got up into the thumb area, which was good. Off to the emergency room we go. Yeah. 3.5, 4 hours later. This is the day before I'm leaving. This is on Wednesday before I leave. Yep. 3.5 hours. He had x-rays to make sure nothing, was damaged, anything, important was damaged, cleaned up, washed up, thoroughly washed up. I know the shots to numb that thing hurt. I mean, you could see him, just the grimace on his face, and, I felt bad for him. And then the doctor sews him up and all that good stuff. Comes back in a little bit later and tells Dale that he has a piece of metal. They found a piece of metal on his x-ray. So he's all sewn up. What do? He referred him to a hand surgeon, and he said, well, a couple of things could happen. He said it could stay in there forever and ever and not cause any problems. It could work its way out eventually, or it could get infected. And I want to send you to the hand surgeon and see what they want to do. So there was that. Got him all bandaged up, all cleaned up and ready to go. And then, had an antibiotic to pick up, things like that, just to make sure he didn't get infected. And he's all wrapped up and he needs to change these dressings and whatnot. And I'm leaving. I'm leaving in the morning. I'm like, how are you going to do this without anybody here to help you? Well, we changed it the night before I left because it started bleeding through, and got him all showered up and everything like that. And at that point, he just kind of handled it on his own. He was able to unwrap it and rewrap it on his own. Luckily, that was his left hand. So, he had his dominant hand, his right hand to do things with. But yeah, I just felt terrible. He's going to have an appointment at a hand surgeon the next day or so. I'm not there to help him with it. I felt terrible. I got to leave. But he's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be just fine. And then he said if he needed to, he could always go to his daughter's house because she's, local, fairly local, and, get some help from her if he needed to. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. I had no choice, really. As it turns out, he remembered years and years ago, he had x-rays on his hands because he had a motorcycle accident. And then he remembered that when he had those x-rays, there was something in his hand way back then. And he's like, I am pretty sure that has been in my hand for years. And when he went over to his doctor's and he had a physical therapy session planned, he stopped in there. The girl there looked at everything, looked at his x-rays even, and they totally determined that whatever they saw on the x-rays was not in that cut. So he did not go to the hand surgeon. He felt pretty comfortable relying on the fact that whatever's in his hand has been there for years and years and years, and he wasn't too worried about it. So he did okay. He still has his stitches. He won't get his stitches out till Friday. It's healing. He says it's getting really tight. It's pulling and getting tight. I'm like, well, I'm healing. I guess it will do that. So I left him here, wounded and alone, while I took off. It's always interesting. Any of the retreats I've been to, well, not any of them. One, I was the last person there. Angie and I were the last ones to show up when we went to Texas. But that's because, it took us 2 days to drive there. So, but retreats that I have planned and organized, it's always so interesting. People are so excited to come in because the craft room is usually closed and they can't get in until a certain time. They're so excited, so excited. They're waiting outside the door to get in. And when you open that door and you let them in, it's just, for me as an organizer, it's so fun to see them come in, look for their seats, figure out where they're going to sit, get organized, look around, see everything. It's fun. So that brings joy to my heart when I see all that happen. It's so nice. So, people start rolling in. Some people had things happen, didn't get there. Somebody came the next day because they had something happening on Thursday. One person had something personal happen, didn't make it at all. Things happen, but everybody gets settled and, we get started crafting and doing things. And, we had dinner. Dinner was like the first thing. The food there was so good. And I had spent a weekend there back in, I think it was November, maybe. I had spent a weekend there with another group. So I had had the food and knew it was good. It was really good. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, corn one night, a whole taco spread one day. It's just good food. Good food. We had no classes or anything like that, but we did have our grab bag, which was kind of a fun little thing. You could participate in the grab bag if you wanted to. If you didn't, you didn't. That was fun. We kind of spread things out throughout the weekend as far as swag bags. We waited until after dinner. We waited until after dinner. Everybody got their swag bags. And we waited until the next day to start doing door prizes and the grab bags. We waited until Friday to get started with all of that. But we had the stuff. Stay tuned. Watch the end of the video and see the kinds of things that everybody got in their swag bags. I talk about door prizes a bit, how we ran the door prizes. It was just a great time. An absolute great time. I enjoyed it. I was able to, I was still, the organizer, and so I was still responsible for things, people's questions, things like getting more tables, getting ice, doing this, making sure everything was working properly, answering anybody's questions they had. But other than that, I felt quite relaxed. Like I could sit, I could diamond paint, I could crochet, I could just enjoy myself, which was so, so nice. I got to partake in groups and conversations and giggles and, I'm not calling any people out, but, there was some alcohol consumed, and you know what that does. That makes people's lips run very, very well. Lots of stories being told, lots of funny things being revealed about people. That's always fun. And I kind of chose my spot like right in the middle of the room. I wanted to be like right in the middle of the room because, as the organizer, I wanted to be kind of central to everybody, and I was there, I was available, easy to find if you had questions, things like that. And I didn't feel left out that way. I think I got to meet everybody and talk with everybody and spend some time with everybody that was there, which was very nice. Um, um, we went to the lake. A few people walked down to the lake just on their own because the lake is really pretty. The first group that came back from the lake, they were asking me, they were like, what are all these bugs we're seeing? And I'm like, bugs, what bugs? I'm thinking, I even said, I don't know. I haven't seen any bugs. So they described them as like mosquitoes, but they weren't mosquitoes. And immediately my brain went to mayflies because we have the pond and it is mayfly season. They're mosquito-ish, I guess. But they don't really bite. They just fly around a lot and irritate you. Yeah. So when a group of us walked down to walked down to the lake, a little bigger than my pond, then I got a real good glimpse of these bugs that they were talking about. And I was like, oh yeah, those are mayflies. But they were just like huge swarms of them out over the lake. And I'm like, yeah, that'll happen. It's that time of year. But they don't last. This is like their time when they emerge. And so you'll see tons of them. But give them a couple weeks and you won't hardly even notice that they're here. It's a very interesting thing. So we did that. That was fun. We had s'mores one night. We had a fire. We had s'mores. Those were yummy. I wish more people would have come over to the fire pit for the s'mores, but we had probably a dozen. We ended up with 41 people there, and about a dozen of them came out for the s'mores night, and they were yummy, yummy, yummy. I found some Hershey's chocolate bars filled with caramel. Oh man, those make an awesome s'more. Let me tell you what. Best part about the s'mores and the fire and stuff is we didn't have to light the fire. They started it for us. I mean, we could have lit the fire ourselves, but we didn't have to, which was nice. If you don't have to do something, it's kind of cool. So they took good care of us while we were there. Some people took little trips, took little jaunts. They went driving around a little bit, went into town. I had never been into the town. The town is Roscommon. I didn't even know how to get to the town. I get off the highway and I'm not near any town when I get off the highway the way that I come. It's all just out in the woods. I didn't even know where the town was. When I left on Sunday morning, I tried to find the town. I drove and I drove and I drove and I was like, I didn't think the town was that far. I was like, well, I'm not going any further. I don't need anything in the town. And I'm going in the wrong direction for me, so I gave up on the town. I guess I'll have to see Roscommon another day because it did not happen on Sunday. It's such a good time. Just a good time, Everybody laughing and carrying on and just having a good time. People come and go as they want. Go take a nap if they want. Like I said, go for a drive if they want. Go for a walk. I mean, we tried to have a schedule of when we were going to do like door prizes and the bags and things that they didn't want to miss, of course. So they could plan accordingly when they wanted to nap or when they, felt that they needed to be there because they didn't want to miss what was going to happen next. I mean, I wouldn't want to miss out either, But it was a great time. It was just a great time. I think everything went well. Um, there's always little things here and there, a little issue with this, a little issue with that, but there was nothing major, no major problems at all. And everything just went very smooth. I was very pleased with how it all turned out. Like I said, we are planning our next one for 2026. We're planning that in Frankenmuth, Michigan, because Mingle and the Mittens philosophy, I guess I'll call it a philosophy, is to travel around Michigan to different places to introduce the people who come from California, Alaska, Canada. They come from all over the place. Florida, many people fly, since people come from all over the country and out of our country even. What was I going to say? Oh, our thought process has always been, let's tour Michigan with our retreat. Let's go to different places within our state to show people that come to the retreats different things that Michigan has to offer. So that's what we do. We travel around to different locations. And, that makes it a little harder to plan a retreat just because you never know exactly how things are going to be until you're there. So there's always this kind of, we got to do a few things on the fly to make it work once we're there. You know what I mean? But it works. Patience and just, sometimes things aren't perfect, and it's okay. It's okay. It's all part of the adventure. In my opinion, it's an adventure. So next year, Frankenmuth, Michigan. If you've never heard of it, look it up. It will be a while before we announce, any sign-ups for that. But just know, I'll be working on it here shortly. I need to wrap up the rest of this one first. I got to finish paying up all the bills and getting everything settled from 2025 before I'm mentally ready to start working on 2026. But I'll start working on it pretty soon. Like I said, it takes almost a year to put together a retreat. So, anything else? Please, if you don't normally watch the crafting vlogs, watch the most recent one, because it is mostly about the retreat. On my way home, I told you I tried to find the town of Roscommon, and I never did. So I headed home down the highway and then realized, okay, I need gas. And I'm a little hungry, but I really just want to get home. For me, it's like a 2.5 hour, 2:40, something like that drive home. Well, I stopped in a little town. A little town, I wouldn't even say I stopped in the town. I stopped at the gas station off of the highway. I never saw a town. But watch the crafting vlog. This little gas station was a one-stop, do-it-all little trading post. I think the best description I could come up with for this little place was a trading post. It was quite wild. But I stopped there, got some gas, got a little something to snack on my ride home, and just headed home. So I did stop at Joann's on my way home to see if they got any new yarn, because all these people on YouTube, they keep posting about, my Joann's got a whole truck full of yarn and the whole store is filled with yarn. Well, my Joann's did have some yarn, but it wasn't filled. I'll just say that. It was not full of yarn. So I don't think we've had one of those whole truckload shipments arrive But and then I got home, and of course, then it's just, I mean, you're tired. I took a nap that day, unloaded my car, started taking care of things. I came home with more stuff than I really planned on bringing home. More than I thought I was going to bring home came home. I thought I was leaving most of it there, but a lot came home with me. I'm still taking care of stuff today. I mean, it's Tuesday, and I'm still taking care of stuff. I just emptied out my swag bag because I wanted to show you what was in my swag bag. So I just finished, emptying that out and trying to find, where I was going to put things. It's a process. It's a process. What can I say? But it was a good time. If you have never been to a retreat, you should try it sometime. I'm not saying just mine, but I'm saying just try a retreat sometime. They're very fun. It's a different experience. You have to go in with the mindset of, okay, this is something new and different that I'm not used to, out of my comfort zone maybe, but go in with an open mind and without a ton of expectations other than I'm going to go meet people, I'm going to craft and have a good time. You make it a good time, right? Attitude is what 80% of life, I think, is your good positive attitude. But they're awfully fun. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, well, that was a waste of my time when they've gone to a retreat. I mean, they might have had a few little things that they would have liked done differently or, but I've never really heard anybody say, well, that was a waste of my time and my money. I hope I never do. I hope I never, ever hear those words come out of anybody's mouth, So, anyhow, I guess that's about it, folks. I got plenty of things to do here at home now. I still have flower beds that need to be weeded. I got plants that need to be planted. Keeping up with my seedlings in the greenhouse, which are looking good. But ever since I've been home, it's rained. It was not very warm up north while we were there. 40s on the first day and rain. Oh my goodness. It rained so hard. My whole drive almost, well, half of the drive, it poured. There were a couple of times when I was closer to home, it was coming down so hard. I honestly thought about pulling over for a few minutes and just waiting for some of the heavy rain to pass, but I just slowed way down and was careful. I was in no real rush. I'm like, I'll get there when I get there, and I'll get there safely, right? Man, did it rain. And it continued to rain Thursday night. Friday, it did not rain, but it was cool. Saturday got a little warmer. And Sunday, oh my, Sunday was gorgeous when I was leaving. Sun was shining through the trees, and it was beautiful. Of course, we're leaving, but it was beautiful. And there was more people coming in for more like conferences and classes. We had mushroom foraging people there one day. That was interesting. Teaching everybody how to go out and forage for the edible mushrooms. There's just all kinds of stuff going on there. We were not the only ones there, for sure. Kind of interesting. I guess that's about all I have to say. Now I'm back to life as we know it. And yeah, got to get some time to get my hands in the dirt and get outside and do some stuff in my dirt. I'll be doing that for a while. Today was let's make hummingbird food. That was on the agenda for today. Let's get my hummingbird feeders going and my Oriole feeder, but I've got to go to the store and get some oranges. I have jelly, but I need some oranges. I'm ready to start seeing my little birds. I'm ready. Okay, I guess that's it for now. I will talk to everybody later. I got other videos to make. And ta-ta for now. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I did finish my Chuck. I finished Chuck while I was at the retreat. He is done, so you'll be seeing that very soon. My post review of Mr. Chuck. And there were 3 people working on a Chuck. Me and 2 others were working on a Chuck Pinson while we were there. They're all beautiful. It's fun to see what other people work on. Gadgets that they bring. There's lots of new gadgets out there. I don't know, there's e-pens and there's light up trays and there's just all kinds of gadgets. Just wander around and look what other people have. You know, it's very interesting. And how they do things, how they set up things, how they set up their space. And I'm a guilty person. You give me a table, it doesn't matter how big that table is, I'm going to fill it with stuff. I just spread, and I got just stuff everywhere. That's me. That's my table. Other people you go by, and they look like this. They got a little diamond painting, they got their pen, they got their drills, and that's about all they have. Not I. Not I. I make a huge mess. All right. Well, I will talk with you guys later. Hope you tune in for maybe a crochet live on Friday. Angie and I are working on a project. My live on Saturday, I'll be back. So I hope to see you there. All right. Ta-ta.